Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the World Hotel Championship 2024. So this is going to be round 3, and I'll be talking through the game that I played against Tomita Yo. So Tomita Yo is actually the Japanese junior representative this year for 2024, and usually how it works is that the junior category at the World Hotel Championship used to be 14 and under due to COVID delay of 2 years. It was extended to 16 and under, and this year it was further expanded to kind of 18 and under. But I think, based on my understanding, is that Japan has traditionally always categorized their juniors as 12 and under, so you tend to kind of play against kids who are somewhere between 9 to 12, and they would play at extremely high levels, and it would be really, really tough to beat them. And one of the key features of the kids from Japan is that they would flip the disc so fast and very aggressively, and tap the clock very aggressively, and they'll always be doing a lot of quick hand gestures, tapping on the table, just kind of prompting the opponent, or just counting moves with gestures. So I think that to me is really distracting. But no offense to Tomita-san, and of course, obviously, I did not know who he was going into the game, so that probably potentially worked to my advantage in a way, because when I played against him, I actually thought that he might be like not as strong as Keisuke Fukuchi or Akihiro Takahashi, who basically won world or tele championships before. I did think that maybe I would have my chances playing against one of the kind of opening that I'm familiar with, but at the same time it's not kind of like the best line, which is the Shaman opening. So maybe let's kind of talk through the game. So I played the kind of standard Rose to Shaman variation, so that's how the opening starts. And the interesting thing is, when I played the 7th move to c6 here, Tomita-san actually stopped right there, and he got a bit shocked, and then he said, "Oh, Shine opening." So basically, I think he's aware, but at the same time, he was probably not expecting it. So to me, it was kind of like a positive signal in a way that he probably does not, understand the book as well as maybe all the other openings that he has prepared for. So, but he still played perfect book. I think up to this moment, it's still all perfect book. And I think even the D7 is still positive. So for me, it was really tough. I think only up to D1, maybe I would start to have some chances. So kind of applying more like a head and tail theory. So this being the head and the tail end being F3 this, G4 square at the tail end of it, that does kind of presents itself as a good move. But over here, the reason why I didn't want to play G4 is that I was afraid that he would just regroup. So I thought I wanted to kind of play a more extreme side towards the edge. So I played the edge move to G8 first. So he closed up pretty quickly. And then basically I went for the original G4 move to kind of progressively go towards F2, F1, E1 squares. So eventually he played G5. This was slightly unexpected, but I guess it's a very simple approach to kind of split the disc and at the same time retain one more move to G6. So I decided to play to H5 because I wanted to capture the right edge as well. So one of the secrets about Shaman opening is, or this particular variation of Shaman opening, is that you tend to want to kind of capture the southern edge and also potentially sometimes on the right edge as well, the eastern edge. So that's what happened. So over here, I actually wanted to feed off the edge instead of grab the edge because of how it could potentially play out. Like I didn't want H6. I didn't really want H6, H4, H3 to play out. And then I would probably be forced to play H4 and potentially give up the edge. I didn't really somehow feel comfortable about it. And I think I didn't really want H6 and H4, and I'll be forced to potentially form an unbalanced edge leading up to that side. So I didn't really check the game, but I didn't really prefer that shape, so that's why I decided to kind of just sandwich. And I think he played H6 pretty quickly because he wanted to control this mini diagonal between E7 to G5. So again, I would essentially not have moves here, so a very quick response would then be towards F2 with the understanding that he could play, maybe H4, and I could feed off H3 and then H2, and then I could just jump onto E1 and exchange F1 tempo, and then maybe just kind of go over to B4. So that was my initial thinking. So it went along this sequence up till this point where he did not play into h2 and he decided to attack e8, forcing a move response from me to d8. And then thereafter he felt comfortable to kind of take h2. So this was quite a smart gesture or smart maneuver by him, because if he played h2, I would simply play into g7 and potentially form up the trap. So he wanted to kind of nullify the trap. So after he played h2, I would then not be able to play g7, given that this would clear out the entire 7th row and he would take 2 quiet moves consecutively to h7 followed by h8. So over here the obvious move would then be just e1 f1. Probably that's a normal kind of combination response. So over here I didn't really have much of choice. I just had to kind of settle with b4 because b3 would just simply remove all the moves. So b4, b3, and then followed by a3. It's quite a standard sequence to kind of play out such an edge. So to me, I felt like I was losing because I was kind of hanging on to a threat over here in terms of the moves. So over here, white jumped out and black, I jumped in to kind of feed the unbalanced edge so that I could force white to, what I wanted was basically black, white, something along those lines, and then maybe I could just jump on and tap onto the X square here for diagonal control. And if he came here, then maybe this, and if he went here, I could then play something like this. But you know, if he played here, then I could potentially take the other diagonal. So that's one of my considerations over here, while just kind of feeding off the edge. So I fed off the edge, and that was how it played out essentially. So, but what surprised me was him playing this move. So if you just click on the AI button, you will know, yeah, his best move was probably b6, and I was surprised he played c7 over here. That gave me an opportunity to capitalize in a way. So over here, my main target was to just try to maintain the diagonal control as much as possible. But at the same time, I did need to kind of count in advance. If black, white, then do I then kind of lose potential moves? Black, and then white. I need to count whether it, all fits well. So I was thinking in my mind black, white, and then followed by black, and then that would kind of result in a winning situation for me potentially this way. But I think what happened was I played here and then he played there, and basically over here it was almost the exact same sequence, except he chose to defend at b1, and then I swept down and he took back over here. So basically he gave up all the edges and tried to secure all the interior discs, which is nothing wrong. That's probably like one of the best counter moves, but in the end it was really lucky on my part that I had sufficient number of this, just kind of sweeping all the edges. So I think one of the strengths, if you do not already know, of Shaman opening is that it tends to kind of lead to such a situation whereby your opponent in white would eventually still get parity, but at the same time, if you play out the sequences right, you tend to have sufficient number of this to the tune of +4 or +6. That's pretty common for Shaman opening. So in a way, I think it's good to kind of use it for clutch situations, but at the same time, you do not expect to get any huge wins out of the Shaman opening for sure. So if you're faced against somebody who you think is more towards like a amateur or beginner and you want a big win, I would probably not recommend Shaman opening. So for me, I guess in a way I felt like Tomita and I were probably similar in level, but at the same time I just wanted something that I was probably more familiar with, and at the same time I didn't really need a big win against Tomita because it would be quite difficult given that how strong he is. So I think towards the tail end of the tournament, after beating him, I then realized how strong he was, because he was beating players like Song Yan, tier 1 players, and then essentially leading the path all the way to the semifinals eventually, and essentially making the semifinals. So congratulations to Tomita-san, and very proud, and he's a very cute boy, and obviously very ambitious and aggressive. So I do hope to kind of see him in the future tournaments. Maybe in a few years time we can still kind of meet and play. So congratulations to him for sure on a great tournament, and hopefully I get to see him again soon. So thanks everyone for joining me in this video, and I'll see you for the round 4 video. Goodbye.